your October launch event previews, and this year's iPhone gates. Let's get to the core of this week's Apple news and rumors. Mark your calendars because October is shaping up to be yet another busy month for Apple. Now, the cheaper XR goes on pre-sale October 19th, arriving a week later on the 26th. But Apple could also be gearing up for another important launch event this month, where the company is rumored to announce new iPads, a cheaper MacBook model, an update to the Mac Mini, and maybe iMacs. Now, we're not sure whether this is going to be a standalone event or just an announcement like what they did with the MacBook Pro updates earlier this year. But in the event of an event, I would probably guess that it's going to be later on in the month like in years past, and I would put my money on the 25th, a day before the XR goes on sale, but that's just me. Now, rumors point to an iPhone X-like redesign for the iPad Pro, with those slimmer bezels and Face ID, but no notch and no OLED display, as shown in these 9 to 5 Mac renders, one with an 11-inch display and the other one with a 12.9-inch display. We're also expecting a 13-inch MacBook with slimmer bezels and a Retina display at a similar price point of the MacBook Air that I have right here. The Mac Mini is rumored to get new storage options and better processor, but those upgrades would cost you more than the current $500 price tag. Meanwhile, those new iPhone XS's are still giving us plenty to talk about, both good and bad. Now, first off, battery life. Last week's Tom's Guide report suggested that both the XS and the XS Max didn't last as long as last year's 10. Now, those results have since been updated, and now only the smaller XS lags behind the 10. But that still contradicts what Apple suggested in the keynote. But the latest consumer report findings paint a completely different picture than the Tom's Guide results, stating that the batteries actually go above and beyond Apple's 30-minute and 90-minute improvements on the XS and the XS Max. Okay, so why the huge difference in results? It could have something to do with their testing methods. Now, Tom's Guide says theirs involves continuous web searching at the same brightness level, while Consumer Reports actually uses a robotic finger that is programmed to go through everyday tasks. These include web surfing, GPS, and making calls. We haven't finished our own battery tests, so wait and see what ours say, and we can compare all of them in a later edition. We've also started hearing more complaints about this year's new iPhones, and the new gates could be ChargeGate and Beautygate, as noted in this Gizmodo article. Now, neither seems to be as serious as the antenna gate of the iPhone 4, where users were losing reception depending on how they would hold the phones, or when the 6 Plus was actually bending in people's pants. But they're still worth taking a closer look. First up, let's take a look at Beautygate. Now, users are accusing Apple of airbrushing portraits from the front camera mainly because the results show smoother than normal skin tone. And while they do seem to have a softer quality to them, it could also be a result of that smart HDR effect, which is essentially evening out the lowlights and highlights to create less contrast and making it feel a little bit flatter. There have also been reports of bad reception in certain areas, particularly by Verizon users, including some of you guys who suggested we test this out in the comment section below, and that's also coming up soon. Then there's ChargeGate. People would plug in their phone at night and wake up to a completely drained battery. And the issue, as shown in this unbox therapy video, isn't that the phone itself isn't charging, it's that it doesn't start charging if the phone is asleep when you plug it in. So you have to wake it up and plug it in to actually charge. The phone will eventually start charging even when it's off, and it's reportedly only affecting a small amount of users. And of course, Apple has remained mum about all these issues. But the closest that we're gonna get of admitting that there's a problem is found in the latest developer's version of iOS 12.1, where they're addressing the battery issue. The update, according to iMore's Rene Ritchie, comes with the solution to the charging problem. But clearly the company has more pressing issues to discuss in its newsroom posts than charging issues, because you're getting 70 new emojis with that iOS 12.1 update, including lobsters, bagels, and a redhead emoji. No, seriously, this one's big because it even had its own change.org petition. And the developer's beta of watchOS 5.1 would include group FaceTime support, but only through audio, and full-screen color watch faces for the Series 4 and circular color watch faces for the Series 3 and below. Now, the only issue with these betas is we're not sure when they're actually seeding out to consumers, so if you have the charging issue, you might have to live with it for a few more weeks at least. And we're not done with the testing. I took the Apple Watch Series 4 on a 6-hour hike to test out Apple's battery claim on this product, and those results are coming to you later on this week. And also let me know if you've noticed any issues with Apple's new products on the comment section below, or hit me up on Twitter, and come back next week for more Apple Core.